So let's talk about the pros and cons of leverage or margin. We did briefly speak about it in the previous lecture, but I want to dwell upon it a little bit more because this is a very, very important issue that every newcomer should understand very well. Margin is a double-edged sword. So you must know how to use it. You must use it carefully. The concept of leverage is simple to understand with real estate. I did explain that in the previous lecture. The pros of margin is much more efficient use of capital. So you can imagine if you have $10,000 and if you're using only half of that or 30% of that or 40% of that, and you can create your profits, then your return on your investment purchase might have been worth 10,000, but you only put 5,000 in it. So your investment was really 5,000. So on that 5,000, you made a profit of say 500. So that's a 10% return on your investment. So ROI becomes much more efficient, much more improved actually. So you get a better return on your investment. However, if your equity falls, if the stock falls beyond a certain point, the broker will issue a margin call. And margin call means you have to add more money to your account to satisfy that margin call. And they'll give you 2 or 3 days to do it. And meanwhile, if the stock continues to drop, then they're going to liquidate your position because the broker is not going to take the risk on that position. So they will close it out. This is all in their terms of use. So they are well within their rights to close out your position if your equity falls below a certain level. Normally, what they do is they give you a couple of days so that you have the ability to fund your account and perhaps you want to buy more to cost average or whatever the case might be. But you have to satisfy the margin call. If you don't satisfy the margin call, they will close your position out. And now this is even more important when it comes to options, futures, and Forex because there's a lot of leverage here. In the case of stocks, we saw that the leverage could be 2:1. So basically 50% of the value of your purchase will be held by the broker. That's 2:1. In the case of options, it's perhaps in the realm of about 5:1. Futures are perhaps 10:1. But Forex uses the most leverage, and in fact, many brokers offer 50:1 or even more. Now, that's crazy because you get a leverage of 50:1, then small changes can result in either big profits or big losses. And what you have to worry about is the big loss because small changes in a 50:1 leverage situation can easily fall below your equity line, and then so you'll be constantly under the pressure of margin calls that may make your investment environment very challenging. Always keep in mind that margin is good if used properly, if used carefully. It can improve your returns by quite a bit, but at the same time you have to be careful that you don't use too much leverage. I would say Forex is really for people who understand leverage and margin very, very well. Futures is also leverage, but options and futures are much lower leverage. Instead of 2:1, which is what is for stocks, options is about 5:1. So not bad at all. Futures is just a little bit more than that, but futures tend to move quite a bit. And so we'll look at those aspects in those sections, but this is just a cautionary word on the use of leverage and margin. Thanks.